Okay, looking good. What I'll do is just pause as we get to the end of each section, just do a quick Q&A on that particular section, then we'll move to the end, and then there's kind of a more general Q&A. So as you probably saw from the email a little bit earlier today, this is the agenda for tonight. First, we're going to talk about a really big change that could be coming in Penguin, and basically it's going to turn conventional kind of SEO practice sort of upside down for a while until we come to grips with it, if it turns out to be true. The second thing I want to detail is a method that I use successfully for a manual penalty recovery. Now, this isn't for a Penguin slap or a Panda slap, but if you get a manual penalty inside Google Webmaster Tools, this is a way that I've used successfully to get out of it. I want to do just a quick intro. There are some new people to SEO Traffic Hacks tonight, and there are some new sections inside the training there that I just want to mention so that you know what's in there and you're getting kind of full value from the training. Talk about the impact of these forthcoming changes in Penguin on our current SEO methodology, and I need to update the one that we have currently listed inside the training. I want to update also on what's been happening on the coupon code monetization, which we talked a lot about last time. Next week, I'll mention it now because I may forget at the end, we may run out of time, but if you've seen in the SEO training, one of the members there is a guy who goes under the handle of Networks, and he does a lot in local SEO, and he's a very detailed guy, very determined, and next week he's basically going to do a complete presentation on his whole business practices, how he goes about getting clients, the pitfalls to watch out for, and his whole business. Now, local SEO, I'm not knocking it, but it doesn't personally appeal to me that much. But I know a lot of SEO guys are into it, so I think next week that session with Networks could be very valuable for you. Finally, as I say, just that general Q&A. So let's jump into the change in link building. And I wrote about this on my blog a couple of days ago. And basically, if you're not familiar with the gentleman on the screen, his name is John Mueller. He's from Google in Switzerland. And every week or so, he runs a Google Hangout on YouTube. And he takes a bunch of questions from troubled webmasters who are having problems with Google, and it's very, very different to the Matt Cut style where he just answers a single individual question, and John or whoever else is there from Google, they tend to kind of ramble on, and to be honest, they're pretty dull and it can be quite painful to watch. And Josh Bashinsky on YouTube, and I'll put links beneath all of these under the recording in the SEO training. Josh Bashinsky does this sort of quick summary of John's main points from each week. And you didn't hear any of what I'm about to talk about from Matt Cutts, but John Mueller has sort of been getting increasingly emphasizing this kind of forthcoming big change. And even if it isn't true, and possibly it isn't, I think it's still quite an important direction to go in, considering the fact that Penguin is always kind of looking at ways of fighting back against SEO through things, for example, like anchor text and where your backlinks come from. So I've explained about John repeating this for a while, that basically it's kind of a big thing to get your head around, or it was for me, that search term anchors are going to be a big no-no in the future for backlinks. So basically what that means is if you're using anchor text that corresponds to search volume, and they may well, if it's true and going to be implemented, and the computer resources for this are just immense and hard to imagine. But if your backlinks are heavily weighted with search terms as anchors, that's going to be a huge red flag. Because when you kind of look at the majority of backlinks tend not to be keyword optimized, they're not search term anchors, and they tend to be much more like click here and this website and those kind of generic text backlinks. So Excuse me. So that's obviously got significance if you're building links in the future, but what about your backlink profile now? Because obviously Penguin doesn't run all the time and they just run the filter occasionally, and again, that could be a computer resource issue, or it could just be to screw with SEOs and kind of keep us on the back foot. But when you kind of look at the way anchor text has been used, and I remember even a few years ago building backlinks, you would just kind of basically home in on one or two different kinds of anchor text and just hammer that one thing hard, because usually it worked really, really well. So even if this, what John is talking about, isn't right around the corner in terms of implementation, it kind of makes sense for future-proofing possible big Penguin changes to really start heavily varying your anchors with non-search terms, so lots of generic ones. Over on SEO traffic hacks in the training, let me just go to the right page there. I posted this a few days ago that we've got a huge list of generic anchors here that you can use, so you can just kind of copy and paste a massive list here. And looking at this kind of potential change coming in Penguin, this is obviously a really good list to use, and there are just tons of them there, and we can even add more to that. So that's kind of a quick way to get a handle on it. So if we're more and more moving away from anchor text as a key relevancy signal for what our site or pages should be about, it's basically, the implication is that on-page is going to be more and more important, and particularly I think kind of just keeping a site very clean, and I'll go into this a bit more in a moment, but there are certain things that you probably need to do to make sure that your site is giving itself the best possible chance. As I say, I need to update the SEO blueprint, and this is going to affect your current link profile. So any link building that you're doing for current sites that are ranking well, they could be in for a nasty hit if and when, or when Penguin runs again next time. So it could be a good time now to think about mixing those up with a lot of generic anchors. And I've shown you that generic list on SEO traffic hacks in the training there. So that's obviously a really big change, a shift right away from search terms, and considering the fact that Google gets something like 100 billion searches a month, I believe, and something like 15 to 20% of those are completely new searches each month. You know, you can see it would be a massive job, I think, for Google to kind of tie together that data from search, what people are searching for, into backlink analysis. But you know, if they want to really hit SEO sites very hard, that's obviously one way to do it. So that's a really important change, and I'd really review what you're doing right now with link building in light of that possible change coming. And even if it isn't, as I say, around the corner, it makes sense to really start diluting that and having much more natural looking anchor text anyway. So let me just, that's on the link building change. Let me just jump into my questions panel here. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, Liz says there's a noise, something touching the mic. Could have been a cable there. Hope I've moved it, Liz, so hopefully it's better now. Liz also says that she has always been a believer in using internal backlinks in WordPress, the ones that are naturally there when you set up WordPress tags, set up as search terms. Do you think WordPress sites set up with tags, millions of sites, that have naturally occurring internal links in WordPress with all the same anchor text will be dangerous? I think the problem, Liz, is that you may run the risk of over-optimization on that, especially if you've got like those tags that are present on every page. Personally, I never use tags, partly for that reason, just keeping it a lot cleaner. It could potentially be a problem. I'd be interested in your experience at the moment if your sites are ranking well with kind of using quite a few tags in those sites. That would be good to know. Personally, I'm just not a big tag user in WordPress. Okay, moving on to a manual penalty recovery method. So I think we all know, we all recognize these nasty messages in Google Webmaster Tools, and if your rankings have taken a big hit and it doesn't seem to coincide with any algorithm update, and you can check that out on Moz, and I'll put a link on the algorithm update calendar as well. If your site isn't in Google Webmaster Tools and you've taken quite a big rankings tumble and it doesn't coincide with an algorithmic change, what you can do is just add it to a Google Webmaster Tools account, and instantly you will be told if there is a manual penalty against that site. So you could well remove it again from Google Webmaster Tools if you don't want Google kind of inside your site there, but it will tell you sort of what the problem is instantly. So what do you do about it? Now, this is just one possible method of recovery that I've used really successfully in recent months, and I'm not super dogmatic saying this is the only way. This is just one way that can kind of get your traffic back, get you moving again, and get you out of that kind of manual penalty hell of feeling like you're stuck and you can't do anything. So just a quick note, apparently when it comes to things like Panda and Penguin algo slaps, these cannot be manually undone by a reconsideration request. So the manual penalty is quite different to that. Someone from the manual team, the 10,000 plus team in India it could well be, who just work on manual penalties, and they've been giving out a load of them lately. It's kind of a negative SEO paradise, as we've talked about before. So this isn't going to work for Panda or Penguin. Those are separate issues that you really need to fix on your site or in your links if you have control over your links, and I always encourage you to do that if possible, as much as you can. One of the big issues, probably not the biggest, is on reconsideration requests, and that's basically where you sort of beg Google to lift the manual penalty and reinstate your original rankings. Now, huge amount of debate about the worth of reconsideration requests. It's a free service that Google offers, so it's massively under-resourced, and you can expect to wait up to 4 weeks. It could be faster. Up to 4 weeks turnaround time on a reply. Now, a reply doesn't mean a lifting of the penalty. It just means that they might say, we still don't like your backlink profile. Go away and clean it up some more and come back and submit another reconsideration request. So each time it can be up to 4 weeks, and obviously that's time, in my view, that's valuable time kind of lost if your only hope is being pinned on this reconsideration request eventually succeeding. Here's the biggest issue though. From all of the SEO guys that I talk to kind of everywhere, and we talk about this kind of stuff a lot, in the main, most reconsideration requests actually don't work. They don't succeed. Occasionally you will hear of one working. It could well be reinstated later. I've heard of that as well. It seemed like sites could have been flagged for future manual review if they've already come out of getting a manual penalty lifted in the past. So with the up to 4 weeks turnaround time and the fact that most reconsideration requests actually don't work, and really the way Google is going about it, it seems to be more like about punishment for SEO rather than about offering a genuine service which they could charge for if they wanted to resource it a lot better. But it seems to me more about, as Dan Thies calls it, kind of driving behavioral change and promoting fear sort of in SEO, that you have to kind of grovel to Google and keep removing backlinks. So it's really about driving behavioral change, and I think that's right, because they just, on the whole, they don't seem to work, those reconsideration requests. So that's the bad news. The good news is that here, the thing that really matters is actually the traffic, the targeted traffic, and it's not that individual site's rankings. And To dig into this more deeply, if you haven't read it already, you should have a read of Brock Hamilton's thread inside the SEO Traffic Hacks training about his $1,000 a day parasite page recovery. So just to summarize it very, very briefly, because you may have read it, Brock used to have a site. It's an affiliate marketing site. I can't reveal the niche. And through over-aggressive link building, eventually it got slapped. But before it did, it was earning about $100,000 a month, and that's been verified through a few sources. So pretty special affiliate site, very, very successful. Got the manual penalty. So what Brock did was he crafted, or had a writer craft for him, a very benefits-driven press release. And I'll come to that a little bit more shortly, but that's quite different to a conventional press release that just jabbers on about some new sales manager appointed in California or whatever. So Brock had a benefits-driven press release written, published, and SEO'd that, and basically got back about 1/3 of his earnings through page 1 rankings for that press release. So he's got back to about $30,000 a month, which is still pretty good. I think we'd all like a few more, or any $30,000 a month affiliate marketing sites. So it's a great example of the fact that what matters is access to the traffic, and it's not that individual site's ranking. And in his case, the press release is just bringing traffic through Google page 1 to his penalized site, which is nowhere in Google, but he knows it's a converting site. So he can just keep driving traffic to it through other means, and it can still continue to function and do well, but its own rankings are just not there anymore and pretty unlikely to come back. So into my current recovery strategy, and this hasn't not worked, which is bad grammar. I think it's double negative. This hasn't failed yet. This has worked every single time that I've tried it, so I highly encourage you to consider this option. Step 1. I'm kind of half joking here, but sort of you need to abandon hope on that penalized site, and you need to really quickly get through all those stages of grieving fast, and I've written them there, which I won't read through, but let's fast forward to acceptance of the fact that that site is gone and it's not coming back. Google hates it. It's got a red flag against it in the system, and it's not coming back. So we need to move on from that, and that's a really important step. And I know that's a difficult sell for a client, but the alternative is that they continue just to suffer and not have the traffic and business that they want. So getting to that acceptance stage quickly is really important. The second step is to buy a new domain, and in this case what I do is buy a new domain with "the" added to the front, and I'll just explain quickly in a minute why I do that. So we're going to buy the new domain with "the" added to the front. So for example, let's say our penalized site is manchestercarwash.com. The new site is going to be themanchestercarwash.com. And the reason I've done it that way is to take away the need for any artwork to be redone. So all of the existing content that we're going to reuse from the old site, we don't need to change any logos. It'll still look fine with Manchester Car Wash. You know, all those logos and artwork and design all can remain there. Now, the other option that I've also successfully used with a new site is to use an expired PR domain, especially a PR5 has always been just the sweet spot, and not all of them, but almost all of them just rank super fast and really well. Get it ranking to page 1 on Google, and then do a 301 redirect to a brand new website, and for a few days they tend to show, both of them show on page 1, and then the new one will kind of stick there, and the old one, the PR5, will just disappear and get de-indexed, which is completely normal for a 301 site. I've thrown in something a bit cheeky there. By the way, when you're doing this, that's the perfect opportunity to switch to Traffic Planet hosting, which is literally the fastest WordPress if you're using it, or even any other kind of site, because it's built to handle Magento e-commerce. It's literally the fastest kind of hosting that you can get, especially if you have much traffic. There's no page load decay, whether you have 50 or 500 or possibly even a lot more people visiting your site, the traffic there. So I strongly encourage you to try Traffic Planet hosting as well. Moving on. So then the next thing we need to do is copy all the content from the penalized site to the new version, all of it. It's going to be copied straight over. Make sure all the links work, because the link URLs on each page, menus, all of that kind of thing could be funny, so just make sure that you've got the correct domain version, all of that, so that it's properly functioning. And then, just get my GoToWebinar panels out of the way, we're going to park the penalized domain at the registrar. Excuse me. So we're not doing, you could do a 302, which theoretically won't pass a penalty if you had traffic coming from some non-Google sources. Excuse me. But the safer option is to just park that old penalized domain. Then, excuse me, long day of talking too much. The next step then is to start a brand new SEO campaign on the new site. Stay with me here, it's not as bad as it sounds. Step one is to go with a benefit-driven PR web press release. And what you're going to put in there are raw URL links, because remember before we were talking about not using search term anchors in there, so you can have target up to 4 inner pages from your PR web press release, and through a guy called Mansour, and this offer is for people inside my training area, you can get what is normally a $369, I think it's premium, it's not advanced, I think it's a premium, one above that, press release distribution, which includes places like New York Times and Washington Post and all of those for $50, not $369. So if you're not familiar with that offer, I'll just also leave the information under the recording of this video as well. Now it's very important, we actually want to get 2 purposes out of our PR web press release. So with Mansour's offer, it's the same with PR web, you have to write or get written the press release. So he doesn't do that for you. PR web will do it for you for a hefty price. But you don't want one of their typical press releases. So let's say, for example, that we were in something like Learn to Play Golf was kind of the focus of our website, the replacement one we're doing. So your actual title on this PR web press release, and this is perfectly acceptable for PR web, would begin with Learn to Play Golf with comprehensive video training on X site. And then the very first paragraph is going to be benefit driven. On this new website, whatever it is, link with the URL there, you can learn how to do X, Y, and Z and take 10 strokes off your golf game through their extensive video training. You can also quickly learn how to do, and then you can have a bullet point list of all these benefits. And then further down, you can have the quote from the so-called CEO of this company or website saying how great it is or whatever. But really you're trying to get those benefit hooks higher up the page in your PR web press release, because we're going to use that also as a parasite page, also as a traffic driver, just as Brock did, because we're not going to be content just with the one site. We just want to claw into more traffic out there. So we're using the PR web press release for SEO purposes to lay a foundation of quite natural sort of mainstream corporate looking SEO backlinks out there. And on top of that, we're going to have our heavy lifters, which are the high PR page links. So after about a week of that press release syndication, it's gone out to a load of places. We're then going to run something like a 100-post blog network run. And here we're going to avoid search term anchors, as we've discussed. We're going to use 100 generics mixed in with some raw URLs, and we're going to completely forget about keyword anchors, and we're just going to rely on our on-page optimization to show the relevance to Google, especially now with Hummingbird, where you've got a lot more kind of topic categorization, where you've got a lot of synonyms tied together. We need that on-page to be really perfectly done. After that's run, you can start this a few days, up to a week after your 100-post blog network run. You can then start adding 1 to 3 private blog network, not necessarily your own private blog network, but somebody's private blog network page, links a day. Plus, in the training, there's a section called Killer SEO Traffic Hacks, and then just little extra things that you can do to give your site a bit of a boost as well. And in combination with all of those things that have been done, you should be back on page 1 again in probably 3 to 4 weeks. And if you've optimized your pages well, then probably going to see page 1 rankings for quite a few different terms. And if you recall on the BuzzFeed Paleo experiment where I had 100 different anchors, and admittedly they were search term anchors because that new possible Penguin change hasn't kicked in yet. But that BuzzFeed Paleo page, one of them was on page 1 for something like about 32, 33 terms. Some of them were quite small, but some of them were bigger, and it was on page 1 for all of those. So you probably can rank for more terms than you think you can, but it's really important to mix up that keyword anchor and not get greedy and sort of hammer it too hard on one or just a few particular anchor texts. You've got to be a bit more patient than that. Now remember that that Google reconsideration request could take up to 4 weeks to reply, and the first one's probably going to be, we still don't like your backlink profile. Go away and clean it up and pointlessly email lots of people to remove links which they'll ignore, and then you have to disavow them anyway and they're still not happy most of the time. Within 3 to 4 weeks, we could have our the version of this copied replacement site and the old one parked. We're probably going to have it on page 1 for a bunch of terms as well. So the traffic should be back. We would then look to obviously start to work on the PR Web press release to get a bit more real estate on Google as well. So that has worked very, very well for me. Excuse me, for the reasons I've said, and I really encourage you to think about that now. In terms of blog networks that you might use, this is a bit of a tricky one. There are a couple that I recommend. Probably the one I've had the most success with, though it is publicly advertised, so there are risks involved. It's on Wikidfire and it's on Traffic Planet, and Google has targeted blog networks on Wikidfire. And that is seslingshot.com. That's out of the public ones, that's the one I've had the best results with, and you can also consider Rank Ascend, ASCEND.com as well. If you look into Traffic Planet Marketplace, you can also have a look at some blog networks for the follow-up page links. Now they aren't private blog networks, and that's where I really encourage you to consider developing your own. Don't forget, a lot of the training on building your own private blog networks is included inside SEO Traffic Hacks. It is work, but it's totally worth it, and it's going to be an asset that will serve you for a very long time. The only final thing to do there is just to add some more parasite pages, and you can start with your first PR Web press release, the one that was benefit driven, because if traffic is going to it, they don't want the boring standard one that's just going to be an absolute conversion killer, just won't get the click-throughs. Now just 2 other quick things. With that level of PR Web press release, not only do you get 4 links, you can link out to 4 different pages on your site, you can also embed a YouTube video, and you can attach a PDF document as well. And a neat little trick is that if you have an autoplay video on your landing page, the one that's listed in the PR Web press release, while the reader is on the PR Web press release page, your page, because they've found it on Google, the autoplay video will be heard by them. Even though they haven't actually visited your site, there's kind of a preview box down the bottom, and the auto-playing video, so you want to make it good if you're using this, so some compelling offer or hook and well-produced sort of sound going there. But they will hear it from the PR web page before they've even clicked through to go to your page. And that's something that I don't see many people kind of taking advantage of. But with the PDF, you've got the opportunity to add something that has kind of high value. It could be education focused, where it builds your credibility a bit more. It just depends on the niche that you're in. Plus you've got the YouTube video option. That doesn't autoplay. That's just a static kind of YouTube embedded there and requires the user to click on. So you've got those options as well. Now, where are we going next? Okay, let me just jump back to my question box. And, whoa, okay, I've got a lot of questions there. Hopefully, Liz, my sound is much better now. Steve has told me about the Josh Bashinsky Penguin workaround. Thank you, Steve. I'm familiar with that one and currently testing it for a site. I'm kind of doing it a wrong way deliberately just to see what happens. Chris has asked, can you explain the PR5 301 again? Sure. So let's say we've got Manchester Car Wash, and that's been penalized. So what we do is we buy a PR5, and it could be xyz.com, and it has got a lot of links to it, which are like xyz and xyz.com. So it's not too anchor text specific. It's not like, buy cheap pianos in Fresno or something like that. So you've got the penalized site, you've got the PR5 that you've bought, xyz.com, and then you've got the new domain, the manchestercarwash.com. So what you do is you can park your, copy the content from the penalized site to the PR5, park the penalized site, do all of the SEO I just described to the PR5, and when that is ranking, when it's on page 1 through all of that SEO above that I just talked about there, you can also just move that content onto your new site and 301 the PR5 to that one, and that works a treat. It can work very well, and the PR5 will actually usually do it quite a lot quicker. The thing is, at the moment, PR5s are quite difficult to get. They're really rare, and a lot more SEO guys are buying expired domains. Adam has asked about a trial coupon for Traffic Planet hosting. Let me come back to you, Adam. I'll send you an email about that. Kevin has asked, do you have any examples of these benefit-driven press releases? I have read them, Kevin. Let me add examples of those under this video recording. I'll dig out the best of them. Some are okay, some are not. Let me dig out some of the best ones, and I'll add it beneath the recording of this webinar. Justin has asked what ratio of generics to raw URL anchors. I just have a few raw URLs and just the rest generic, Justin. So, so if you're just linking to one URL, it's probably that's it, and you might have a domain.com on there, and the rest is just all generic. That's the way I would do it. Chris has asked, on the 1 to 3 PBN, private blog network, or it may not be that private depending on what you can get your hands on, do you use keywords in the anchor text or just generic and raw URLs, just generics now? Tony has asked about relevance of the text around it. Yeah, I mean, I think this is actually a very important Penguin signal that the text around your link should be relevant, and it actually never used to be. Like if I go back to the original homepage backlinks, we used to have massive posts of like 10,000 words on whatever that particular expired domain was about. Could have been Greek history, and we just jammed in a whole load of completely irrelevant anchors and links into it to all kinds of things, lose weight, all of that, and it worked amazingly well. But those days are gone now, and around the link, definitely you do want to have relevant text, and if possible, ideally get also some relevant video and images in there would be nice as well. An authority link, outbound authority link, going to an inner page on that topic as well. So you're covering off all those nice little relevancy signals. So it's a good point there, Tony. So relevancy is coming from the text around your link, like in the specific post or article, plus what's on your page itself. Dan has asked, can you explain what park your penalized domain means? At your domain account, Dan, you will have an option, and I'll throw up a picture guide on how to do this in, for example, GoDaddy and Namecheap. You'll have an option to actually park your domain, and basically that's just a static page that has a whole bunch of ads, junky ads on it. They're all kind of identical for each different registrar, has their own different parked looking page. So that's very straightforward to do. It's just a couple of clicks and no redirect at all. At the moment, I'm not doing that. So I'm not even risking anything with the 302, just moving everything over, parking the old one. Chris has asked, are we pointing links to the press release or the new the site? So there are kind of two stages here, Chris. The first is we're using the press release to link to our new the site. So we can link up to 4 URLs there. But after that's kind of up and running, we then want to also do a separate SEO campaign for the press release itself. Justin has asked, do we send all 100 posts to our one best press release or spread over a bunch of them that were distributed? I'd send it to one. I'd focus on one or a very small number, Justin. And if you, unfortunately, of course, you can't just reuse several of the exact same press release and get them all ranking on page 1. So if, for example, you want to have a PR Web press release on page 1, that's one press release. If you want to then run another different press release through PR Web, you could, for example, target your where that's published on Washington Post. Could be Wall Street Journal as well. I'm not 100% sure on that, but you could pick out a different one. Liz says, not so much knocking on the mic. Thank you. Awesome. Might be back, actually. My mouse cable has moved. Sorry, Liz. Rob has asked about Traffic Planet hosting. Let me come back to you on email on that one, Rob, as well. Expat has asked, regarding the future updates, don't forget that you can do pure citations and body copy as well and let them everywhere else with Scrapebox. You can. Be good if you can write, Expat, on your experience with citations. I haven't seen amazing things here, but haven't done it a lot, but would love to hear your perspective on it, and thank you for that other information on coupon code stuff today. That was outstanding. Leah has asked, have I understood you right in your answer that you'd not use keyword anchors but only generic URLs as backlink? There's a difference between raw URL, so that'll be like HTTP, domain.com is your raw URL, and generics are things like click here, read more, good info, nice article, etc. there. Jose has asked, I promote physical products direct to merchant, sometimes Amazon. It's okay to point press release and direct traffic straight to them, or should I utilize other free parasite sites for Amazon products? So with your Amazon links, Jose, just need to be clear whether or not that Amazon link is actually an affiliate link on the press release or not. Some guys who have done Amazon affiliate marketing report that they haven't seen ranking slaps with Amazon affiliate links on a page. I have seen that on sites of my own. So if you just clarify that point, I can come back. Muffins has asked, do you send the 100 blog post run to your money site or PR Web? I thought direct to money site. Yep, cover that with Chris. So stage 1, Muffins, is to your money site, the new money site. The second campaign is to the PR Web press release to have it rank in its own right. Tony has asked, so we are less likely to get busted for unnatural links using these click here anchors. That's exactly what it's all about, Tony. So it's about insurance for the future against this, and even though Google is always playing kind of a card game with us, and there's bluff and counter bluff and propaganda and so on, it makes sense, it's common sense that anchor text have been so sort of gamed and abused by SEOs over the years, myself included, that that would be a really obvious one to target. And it's pretty unnatural that people are going to link to you like hundreds and hundreds of links with these high volume search phrases or whatever. So definitely it's all about insurance for the future. And even if, let's put aside an algorithmic thing like a Penguin thing, if you get a manual review and have someone at Google looking into your links, there is a veneer of naturalness there if they kind of see these sort of anchors, unlike lose weight fast or all of those kind of search term anchors. So it's definitely good from a Google manual review perspective, and good potentially if this big mega Penguin update comes, as John Mueller has been talking about. Okay, I've caught up on my questions. Now, very quickly, let's run through some possible changes to the SEO traffic hacks blueprint. We're going to avoid those keyword anchors. What I have suggested in the past is that when you're doing parasite page SEO, that you need to also, like you do with a normal website, begin it with a press release campaign, which would be kind of weird if you're doing a press release to a press release. But so we're always testing this and always checking it out, and at the moment now it looks like you don't need to do that for parasite pages. You can just run your blog network links, and that the way that the SEO rulebook is kind of thrown out the window quite often on parasite pages seems to include the fact that we can ignore that press release step, so that saves a bit of money on parasites as well. I think moving forward we really need to run kind of much cleaner sites, and I know I'm guilty of this as much as anybody in terms of duplicate content like tags pages and all those default WordPress things. We want to no index weak pages in terms of content. A lot of this can be done with plugins, of course, if you're using WordPress on Traffic Planet hosting. That was very subtle plug there. We should be doing 404 to 301 the home page, so any page that instead of 404ing just redirects to your home page, or if you have a kind of hero page elsewhere on your site that's the real money earner, it could be going to that page. Or another option is, and there's good stuff in lead pages here, is to turn your 404 into a landing page or opt-in form. So if you've got lead pages, Clay Collins, who's always doing good stuff and upgrading and changing and adding new features in lead pages. I just wish he'd take over Microsoft software development and actually make it work properly, but I don't think he will. He's got some good options inside lead pages. So things like broken links, crawl errors, look at images, have you got much keyword? And I don't mean over-optimization. So typically what I will do is the first image file on the page will be the exact keyword that I'm trying to rank that page for, but I don't use alt text on it, and any other images on the page tend to just have very non-specific names, file names, such as 1234.png or abc.jpg or whatever. Excuse me. So the other thing, sorry, excuse me. The other thing that we are implementing now, and this is actually, it's kind of weird, it's very, very retro, but now that there's so much emphasis drifting back or drifting towards, for the first time even, on page to the degree that it is, something else that we're implementing is silo structure. And silo SEO is something that's been around kind of since the Stone Age of SEO, and I've never necessarily seen it explained all that well or simply, and there are a million different silo kinds of configurations and structures, all of which are confusing and don't seem to allow for this and that. But we've been doing a lot of work here on this, and this is sort of what we're implementing here, and I'll you'll kind of see a live demo side of this. And if you want to read a lot more about silo structure, you can Google Michael Campbell's Revenge of the Mini-Net, which is very old text, by the way, but very worthwhile. You know, you'll be reading it for quite some time, and my goal here tonight is really to touch on it and give you the simple, easy overview. And the reason I call it a mono silo is because apart from a few kind of huge authority sites, and you may not even have those, most of us tend to have these kind of 5 to 10 page affiliate sites, and typically that isn't big enough. That's just not relevant for typical silo SEO, but we want to take advantage of the dynamics of silo SEO and the way that link juice potentially can flow around a site, and take advantage of the fact that every link, every page that gives a link, be it internal or external, can give us the potential for a bit of an extra boost. And when they're kind of combined, these can be quite powerful. And you already own the asset, which is the website, so it kind of makes sense to do this. And if you have a pretty small website, like 5 to 10 pages, it's very, very simple to do, and you can do it kind of in 10 to 15 minutes manually without plugins or anything. So let me run over this, and this is going to become a big theme as well in SEO Traffic Hacks in 2014, a lot more on silo. Richard, who you may know from Traffic Planner, is running the test program inside the training now. He and I are putting together all the silo SEO stuff now. You'll see here, if you've ever done anything on silo SEO, you kind of get presented with these crazy complicated diagrams, and you have no idea, where do I even begin? How do I implement that? So what we're going to do is forget all of that and look at a very, very simple and easy mono silo structure that we can implement quickly on our sites and potentially give it quite a boost. So typically this 5 to 10 page affiliate site, for example, may or may not be, probably looks like this. It has generally speaking, it has a kind of horizontal structure. And here the red arrows that you see are links. So we've got these individual links going from the home page to these different articles. And one of the things that I always struggle with in silo SEO is, where does this fit in with WordPress? Because most of us are using WordPress all the time, and isn't WordPress meant to already be arranging things with categories? Aren't categories already creating these silos for us and all of that? Well, not as much as we potentially can do. So here, rather than this, what we have with this kind of structure here is something that where the pages, the link juice is not flowing around the site in the optimum way that potentially it could be. So that's sort of the typical one, and you know, I have sites that we haven't gotten around to fixing yet that are kind of have this sort of structure where probably the only real links going to each of the pages do come from something like a recent posts or recent pages widget in the sidebar. Maybe it's got a menu bar, it kind of depends, but this is not the optimum structure. The other point I should make here is really, to get the best structure, you may need to play around with different themes which have the right kind of nav bar, or possibly even edit a theme to just set this up for the best option here. But you'll see what I've done with the demo site here. So this is kind of what we want to move towards instead. So from the home page, for example, we would link to Article 1. And remember, this is a mono silo. So typically when silo SEO is talked about, let's say it's a golf site, you would have, you know, one silo or column or group of articles might be on golf accessories. And you've got these different articles for different golf accessories. So, and you'll see that's what I've done on the demo site in a moment. So you might have golf caps and golf shoes and golf bags. They're in the group, the column, if you like, under golf accessories. And then you have a different one which could be on golf courses. So then you have one article on one particular golf course, a different article on another golf course, and so on. That's that column. Then you might have another column that's all about golf clubs. So, and by club I mean the organization and actual course, so golf courses. So you might have different articles on different golf courses. But generally speaking, I think, and I'm sure you'll tell me in the questions in a moment, that doesn't quite fit these little mini sites. So here what we're going to do instead is have a kind of a mono silo where we are directing some link juice and we are helping it. And typically this diagram here assumes that we send the most links to the home page. So when we do that, you can see we follow the red arrow from the home page down to Article 1, and remember there's always a little bit of decay through a link. So that's why we're going to put our hardest keyword to rank for out of the ones we want these pages to rank for will be Article 1. And at the very, very bottom, the final link, even after an outbound authority link, at the very last link, we're directing Googlebot to Article 2. And that will be about a different but related keyword. And again, you'll see the demonstration in a moment. And that's kind of like the medium hard one. We've got the hard, the medium, and the weak. And then at the very, very bottom of Article 2, we've got another link here going down to Article 3, which is our weakest keyword. And at the very bottom of that, we're directing Google back to the home page. Or if the home page is not our main money page, our main conversions getting page, let's say it was Article 1, for example, we would link Article 3 back to Article 1. But typically, it's normally the home page that we want to rank. On the multi-column sort of SEO, not like this, the bottom of Article 3 could link to the beginning of the next vertical column, and then you follow these kind of bottom links. They must be within the kind of the post area. It's sort of like contextual link, although they're not strictly speaking sitting in text, but they're at the very bottom of the posts. That's kind of the money area. It's why contextual backlinks work much better, for example, than sidebar or footer backlinks. These are the links that Google pays attention to. So we're just trying now to control the flow of page rank around the site, and any links that we build to the home page are going to trickle down and benefit these other pages. So let me just flick over to the demo. So I can't quite zoom up to that URL, but you can see it's at seotraffichacks.com/silo-demo1. So here I hopefully made it pretty clear. So here is our home page, and you see at the very bottom, ignore the silo one. I just put that there for kind of instructional purposes, so that wouldn't be there. We would come down here and we have a link to golf bags, and you can see there, because it's on our site, you know, we do have more latitude in terms of keyword-rich anchor text. Still don't want to go completely crazy, but on a mini site like this, it's not going to be an issue. So if we click on that one, we can see now we've come to the golf bags page. And in fact, if I copy that image URL and I just paste it in a new window there, you can see here golfbags.jpg. That's what I've given that particular file name for that one. So any links built to that home page will therefore trickle through that bottom link onto this page. Now you could have loads of content up here. You could have videos, PDF downloads, pictures, interviews, Q&A, tons of text, but at the very, very bottom here, when Google has finished digesting all of that, we want it to follow through this bottom link here, golf shoes. And you can imagine what will be there. This page is about golf shoes, so we've got that there. And at the bottom of this page is about golf caps. You can see I've kept this mono-silo theme, and I'm sure your small sites, you know, it's all related, it's all relevant. And then down at the bottom of this silo page here, just like I showed here, on this Article 3, the weakest keyword, the link is going back to the home page. So if I click on here, we can see this brings us back to the home page. And in a way, a good way to think about a silo SEO like that, you can see how quickly that would be to implement. And obviously on a bigger site, there's more work involved, but it's very quick. And it's actually a good way of getting more bang for your buck out of your SEO campaigns. And in a way, whatever inner page you build links to, and you should be building links to inner pages as well, of course, these other pages that are siloed kind of with it will also benefit. There will be some passing of link juice there, and you're just kind of controlling the flow of it around. Sometimes this is called PageRank sculpting, if you've come across that term, where you're just trying to just manipulate that flow of PageRank around the site. Very, very simple to do, and can give you a good boost on it. You can see just down at the bottom there, if you didn't get it, hopefully you can see it. So it's seotraffichacks.com/silo-demo1. Richard and I are going to be looking at a few different kinds of silos, but I think this is the one that has the most relevance for us. And did I actually write more on? Okay, I didn't. So that's just that mono silo structure with just those footer links. And let me just go back, just make one final point. What we're not doing here is relying on things like recent posts and pages in the sidebar counting for silo SEO, because Google's focus is in that main article area, not really on the sidebar. So think of that as just for people, but these kind of bottom links here are controlling the flow of juice, and PageRank sculpting, as I say. Really, that's what's there for the SEO, and it's not too obtrusive. You can still have your navigation bar on the right-hand side or whatever at the top, but you've also got those links in there for Googlebot as well, just to give your site a boost and get more out of your SEO. Okay, let me just jump on. Let me just have a look. So Muffins has said, for silos it sounds like disable top navigation. Not necessarily. I mean, you might need a bit of theme editing, and typically, actually I'll show what happens when we come back here. Let me just go into WP admin. This is the one here. If I come back to a different theme, get my GoToWebinar out of the way, I'm just going to activate this other default one here and come back to the site. We can see here by default we get pages added here, and it's not exactly really what we want. So ideally, for kind of a mono silo site, we've got obviously the home link. We might want to get rid of these, really get rid of these, and just have that first link going to that first page there. And that may require either A, some theme editing, not as easy, or B, selecting a theme that actually doesn't have it. So if we came back to this one here, wrong one. Actually, I need to reload there. Yep. We can see on this particular theme it doesn't have a top nav bar, so that obviously isn't as good for people, and you still do need to have navigation there. Excuse me, but it really depends on the theme that you've got going there. Tony has said that mono silo site looks like a very unnatural way to build a site that will convert. Bit of a conflict there, Tony, between what we're doing for SEO and what we're doing for people. So I think, remember, you can still kind of have some navigation going on the right, or it might actually be at the top. Just you've got to be careful about, as Liz has said, that you're not leaking out too much juice and it's not kind of too scattered by having, you can imagine if you have, for example, 10 pages and all 10 have links in the top menu, that's not ideal. And really we want to channel Googlebot down through and kind of just follow through the site, through the single silo that we've had there. So I think it can still work conversion-wise, because really it's about those links at the bottom and what you're doing there with that sort of top navigation bar. Steve has added, might depend on the theme. I'd have to check each one. Steve has said you can change the menu options in WordPress to whatever you want. There you go. So depending on the theme that you're working with, that could still work out. Liz has asked, on the Mono Silo site there were no menus, so wouldn't the links all leak juice out of the menus back to the other pages anyway? I'm not sure what menus you mean there, Liz, if they weren't there. But I do think you've got to strike that balance between some navigation for people and having this benefit of the silo SEO as well. Okay. Back to PowerPoint. Okay, how are we going time-wise? Gosh, time races by. Okay, just very, very quickly. If you're new to SEO traffic hacks, there are a few new sections or old ones that you may not be aware of. So, for example, let me just come back here. We've got new sections such as, these are kind of very new ads. So we've got things like recommended tools and vendors, avoid tools and vendors. So if you've had a horrendous experience with any kind of SEO service or hosting company, whatever it might be, it wouldn't be Traffic Planet hosting, I can assure you. You can add it in there, and I've included my list of the tools that I currently use, but that isn't definitive, and if you've got better alternatives to ones that are there, please feel free to share them. Also, we have added in things like SEO hosting options, so we've got lists of potential hosting services that you could use for blog network hosting as well. Added a new free extra service here, which is crazyindexer.com submissions, and you can go in there and just get the details of that one. We can submit up to 60,000 URLs a day with that service, and you just need to email your text file with your list, your vertical list of URLs to eva@terrykyle.net, and those will get posted almost immediately. What else do we have there? We've got the hosting company recommendations, Crazy Index. Richard is working on, at the moment, a RankWiz RSS translation test, and I wrote about this earlier, particularly for parasite pages, where the SEO rules are kind of more relaxed. That could be a very good sort of autopilot link building option. Silo SEO, of course. Don't forget to check out Resurrection SEO. There is a webinar on that one that you can watch, and that's all about rebuilding legitimate-looking sites, especially using archive.org, and one of the services that works it's not a spin-off, but it's a service that's based on archive.org where you can get complete sites in zip format just sent to you. I think they're something like $15 a site. And also Resurrection SEO, good sites for passing Google Human Review. There's also your private blog network building guide in there, and coupon code monetization. Excuse me. So just to update you guys, because I don't want to go over time too much, if you recall from the previous coupon code monetization, we were talking about Theme Forest, and we were playing around with Theme Forest coupon, which doesn't get a huge amount of traffic. And I have direct experience that Theme Forest does not look after its vendors very well. In fact, the service is pretty terrible. But it turns out that their affiliate program is quite moderated, and I managed to get my account banned. It was disabled because I had that Theme Forest coupon.pw page running to a new Rebel Mouse page that I threw together just to play around with, and they picked it up and banned my account. So that's one that, that's have to move on from that one. It's going to happen, of course. Interestingly, are these services VigLink and Skimlinks, and these are kind of programs that you sign up to, and they've got a few advantages to them. One is that they have a ton of merchants online. So if you can see the page, actually let me go to the website because it's a lot clearer. Wait a minute. Past it here. Again, I'll put, this is VigLink versus skimlinks.com. So potentially here, a lot of these will be really small-time merchants, so this is an exaggeration. Potentially with 32,000 merchants, that could be up to 32,000 coupon code terms to SEO. The ones worth going after probably much, much smaller, but with VigLink, they have instant approval. So if I come down here on the page, and I have actually joined up, so I know that's correct. Where are we here? You get access, you can see it here, you get access to all the merchants instantly, and what it does is it turns your, where you have a link, for example, to Macy's or someone like that, if someone is going to click on it, it will turn them into a big link. And interestingly, Expat, who is on this call, I believe, tonight, I'd love to hear what he has to say about it, found that Hello Coin, which is a pretty big operator in coupon code monetization space in that niche, actually redirects through skim links as well. So we can see Hello Coin here, and it looks like all their coupons go through skim links as well. And they seem to have been around for quite a long time. And we also have a new guy in SEO Traffic Hacks who has been working with VigLink for a few months. So he said, piece of cake to install, and I'm making money with them. Since I'm a lazy affiliate, it's perfect for me since I never have to worry about dead or expired links. And one more important bit, it's a ventures-backed program. I think he means Google Ventures, and it didn't hurt my ranking when I slapped up a brand new site. Imagine that. So we could have a great source of insight information on VigLink from Bad Golfer on the forum as well. But this could be quite a good workaround, and it saves actually the effort of going and individually signing up to each affiliate program and submitting a site. They go and have a look at it, decide whether they like it or not. Now, I'm not suggesting it's kind of a slam dunk, and there will still be other things to figure out here, especially if we start sending a lot of traffic through coupon code type pages and things like that if we're not using some redirect or whatever, however it's worked here, because there are a few different models. But VigLink and Skimlinks definitely look quite promising. Also, we've got iCodes. This is a service that you can either do for US, it doesn't apply to the UK, but for US you can have a free access to it, but it's 50-50 revenue share on the offers and coupon codes that they're sent through, which is all automated and updates once a day. And in fact, I have a demo site of this set up here. So if you can see the URL, we've got couponcodedemo.seotraffichacks.com. There'll be links to all this beneath this video recording. So you can see there that I've populated that with a whole bunch of terms. Now, from an SEO perspective, there are a lot of problems with this theme, and my WordPress guy was having a look at it today, and it's not an easy one to edit, he thinks. And because what we really want is just under these coupons, we want some nice SEO-friendly content area down here. Mind you, it seems to be that quite a few of these coupon code sites rank without any original content, which is a bit bizarre. What I did manage to do was pile a whole load of text here. I just grabbed some Hamlet text and chucked it into a sidebar widget, but of course that's going to be on every page, so that's not great. And the other thing is, when you're looking at which coupons, which companies you want to offer here, it's really up to you to categorize them and look at which offers you want, because you just don't want to import absolutely everything. And this, by the way, they do have a data feed hookup to Commission Junction and all the big services, which is pretty handy. But in terms of managing the site, we've still got a bit of a way to go. It still seems tricky. Yep, so that's the demo, that coupon theme, premium press. It is couponcodedemo.seotraffichacks.com. Okay, guys, I've thrown a ton of stuff at you there. Let me check my questions panel here. Where are we? Anurag has asked, do you think that tools like SE Nuke and Ultimate Daemon have their place in the SEO Traffic Hacks SEO plan? I think if they do, Anurag, it's for parasite pages. I'd be pretty wary of doing it on a site of mine. I haven't used those tools for ages, absolutely ages. Parasites that are kind of disposable, definitely. But personally, I wouldn't. But you need to make your own call on that. Chris has asked, indexing, do you use more than one indexing service or do you use multiple vendors for the same list of URLs you want indexed? That's an interesting question, Chris, and we actually used to run, like on my PBNs, we used to run every single new post through Index Emperor, Nuclear Link Indexer, and Linklicious, just as a matter of the way we did things. And what worried me was kind of seeing the quality of links that those services would build to pages, and that did trouble me. So we actually experimented. We switched them all completely off, and we found that our indexing rate was almost unchanged. So it seems like if you have a reasonably busy kind of blog, and those blogs are pretty busy, those didn't seem to make an impact. The reason I've tried that crazy indexer, and I've got to reverse engineer this, is that Donald Van Fossen claims that the way that he does it, which I think he's kind of keeping as a trade secret, maybe someone on this call is aware of it, but it's a bit of a trade secret on he claims he doesn't build any backlinks, but they do get indexed, so not sure exactly what he's doing, requires more investigation. So that's the reason I don't use those others, and the reason why I'm doing things with Crazy Indexer at the moment, because of that no backlinks. Okay, Chris, again, Chris, you're going to wear out that question button, my friend. I'm only joking. It's all good. Manual penalty question. The site I mentioned to you previously has had the manual penalty removed, but the site isn't re-indexed yet. Any ideas or techniques for re-indexing? Am I skating too close to the edge if I push re-indexing using an indexing service? Probably with those others it could be a bit iffy, but quality links are what get it re-indexed. But if you haven't sent it to me already, Chris, or if I've missed it, it's in emails, I'll get to it. I'll put it into Crazy Indexer if you're good with that. Just let me know that you're okay with that, and I can also add links to a couple of other sites just to get it indexed. Okay, moving on. Scott says, I'm here on this call. Yes, I do. I'm not sure what you're saying, Scott. Anorak says, for a new site, do you recommend following the same plan as for the site? Absolutely. That's exactly what I follow. Will Park has asked, did you buy and use the iCodes WP plugin for this site? I did, yeah. We're running it there right now, Will. So we're testing it out and finding out what's going on. Joe has asked, how many outbound links do you prefer for one PBN site? Could be 5, probably no more than 10, Joe, something like that. Could be 5 or less, depends on the site. Anything more than that is probably pretty iffy. So I would keep it under 10, and if you can at 5 or less. Joe has asked, do you plan to build a local SEO case study sometime? Glad you asked, Joe, because next week, Networks from SEO Traffic Hacks, who's super into local SEO and has got a kind of proven model, is running the whole show and he'll be doing local SEO big time. So perfect timing for your question. Just bear with me one moment. My cat was mewing at the door. That's live webinars for you. Steve has said he's probably using metastat sites, pinging. I'm not sure if you mean all those like are used by the IMTalk mass submitter and all of those. Steve, I'm not sure if you mean those, as my cat jumps all over the microphone. But she's sweet and lovable nonetheless. Alex has asked a great question. What's the #1 parasite you find ranks the easiest right now in Google, showing them lots of love? I see a lot of PR web press releases. It looks good. It looks very, very good at the moment. Muffins has asked, we'd use Switchbox SEO for the 100 blog run. Definitely. Can we use 1-minute-old Namecheap domains, or we need to have age and have them indexed hosting content first? I do recommend on the CNN kind of hack where we're retrieving this domain that's been de-indexed for ages, I do recommend getting it re-indexed before you use it, but in this case it's going to be fine because it's going to have links coming to it. I would just set it up and just fire away, nothing straight away. Excellent. Scott has clarified and said he's the bad golfer. He meant that VigLink was a Google Venture program. Thank you very much, Scott, and really looking forward to any extra thoughts that you have inside the forum as well. Muffins has asked, theme foresters have failed, do not pursue. Correct, absolutely right. There are only about 30,000 other targets that we've got to go after. Tony has asked, have you noticed the 2500 site option on IMTalk is stopping at 660? I did see it getting a malware warning somewhere recently. It was like about site 1500. That could be a new thing, Tony. They might have adjusted the settings. Even 660 is not a bad run. Tony Oliver has asked, do you know software that simulates a surge of traffic? I want to use it for a press release. One, not software, but a service that I have tried is revisitors.com, I think it is. If you put in revisitors, buy traffic, something like that, turn it into Google, you should come up with it. Joe has asked, when you use an expired domain, is the domain age refreshed or is age from when the domain was first registered? In my experience, back when it used to exist, so when it was originally done. But really, it's all about the links, all about the quality of the links going to it that are giving it that page rank. Okay. So Anurag has asked, for an expired domain being set up as a money site, and remember, PR5 is my best recommended option. I've even tried PR6s and 7s, and for some bizarre reason, PR5 seem to work better. Do you still recommend going with a blast of generic anchors? I do. It's going to have a bunch of backlinks, and ideally, you want to have kind of anonymous company name backlinks rather than anything too specific and too kind of keyword spammy. But I do recommend those generic anchors, absolutely, because that will be coming through, probably getting 301 anyway to your new site. And I think it's just good, it just makes sense, and it's good kind of future-proofing insurance. Okay, just a couple of more questions here, and then we might wrap it up. So, Joe has asked, if you use, my cat is attacking the mouse cursor. She hates that thing. It's like an insect. Joe has asked, if you use SEO Switchbox and it gets de-indexed again, by it, I think you mean the new money site, does it still work or do you need to get it re-indexed? If you can just clarify, Joe, so the new expired domain, okay, so we've got the PR5. Let me see, just come back to your question. So if I use SEO, Switchbox SEO and the PR5 gets de-indexed again, does it still work? I haven't seen that situation come up, Joe. if it does, something funny has gone on. You may need to move to a different one, but I've never had that situation come up. So hopefully it won't for you either. Leah has asked a question regarding private blog networks and switchbox tactic. I have a private blog network of around 20 PR domains. Cool. Can I link additionally from a PR site to a switchbox, which then redirects to a money site? Although I have linked already from this PR site to this money site with a direct link. Okay, not fully sure I'm getting it there, Leah. Are we talking about two different switch boxes, like two different domains that have 301s, or is it the same switch box if you just type it and clarify? Jamel has asked, I bought a PR5 domain 6 months ago with no links, and after the last update it went into PR6 with still no backlinks. Is this domain valuable? It could be, Jamel, that there's actually quite a difference between reported backlinks and actual backlinks. So I think it's actually partly to do with the scale of the internet. But even, for example, when we're looking at a domain and we'll compare the backlinks from Majestic, Ahrefs, and Open Site Explorer, and they're the big three that we use, quite often they'll come up with different sets of backlinks for the same site, and they'll miss ones that the others have. So it could be that you just can't actually see the backlinks, but if you're concerned that there's some kind of fake, although you have control of it now, so it shouldn't be an issue, but the easiest way to fake PR is that a domain is 301 to a high PR site for a few weeks. The redirect is removed, and the PR of the authority site that it redirected to sticks with the old site, and that's a classic fake out kind of technique. But Open Site Explorer is the best of those three at picking that up. I hope I answered your question there. Joe has asked, if I send a redirected domain to a PBN site, will it greatly increase the ranking power of the PBN site where I can use to link to multiple sites? If the domain that you're redirecting has got great links and it's powerful, definitely worth doing. Does it matter if the expired domain was redirected 302 or 301 by the previous owner? Pierre has asked that one. It can do, Pierre, because it may have been used to fake PR. That's the problem. So if you go and check it in Open Site Explorer, it should come up with a message on that. Should show you. And in fact, what I'll do under this video recording, I'll just repost the pictures of what you'll see in Open Site Explorer if there's something funny going on. Okay, good stuff. Leah has clarified. So Leah says, I have made a backlink from one PR3 site to my money site. Can I make a backlink from the same PR3 site to a switchbox redirect and redirect this to the same money site? You could. I'm not sure necessarily what the benefit of that would be. If you have control there of the PR3 site, and Switchbox SEO is all about control, like being able to change links, change where they redirect to. And Switchbox SEO is also about controlling a whole lot of backlinks with one switch. So I'm not sure what the benefit of that would be, Leah. I hope that doesn't sound rude. Chev has asked, should we create voucher codes for certain topics or one big generic? Let me go. Sorry. When new questions come in, Chev, the screen scrolls down and I'm just going to go back. Should we create voucher codes for certain topics or one big generic voucher code to get the best SEO rankings? That's kind of a judgment call you have to make and depends on your available resources. Both ways have merits and sort of drawbacks. The big site, if you know you're over aggressive with your link building and that gets slapped at some point in the future, that's a lot of work. Not down the drain, as we've seen tonight with that manual penalty replacement option I had there, but it could be a bit of a sting, and you might be spreading the risk around more by having different smaller kind of mini sites, if you like, 5 to 10 pages. On different little niches. So one could be on hosting, one domain buying, one could be on jewelry, whatever it might be. I forgot to mention also that I think VIG links and skim links have very long cookie length. So even though coupon code is pretty instant, pretty immediate, they do have quite a long cookie length. I think Scott might be able to correct me on that. I think it'll be up to a year, but he might have the answer on that one. Joe has asked how long to see a ranking benefit after a redirect. You may not see any ranking benefit at all. Unfortunately, nothing works 100% of the time in SEO, but if you are going to see it, it should be, within a few days. You should see that. Leah has added, helps for rankings, or is this a footprint for Google? Because I need more backlink power to rank my site from page 2 to top 5. I would just link directly from that PR3, Leah, and not worry about the switch box. It doesn't sound like you're necessarily doing it on a scale that warrants it. What you might do is, with your 20 sites, you might switch them up into groups of 5, for example, and run each of those 5 through a separate switch box. And they could have different groups of anchor text, for example, on those. That way you can kind of switch one off or push it somewhere else. Steve asks, have you done anything using high PR URL shortener sites to pass additional link juice to 301 domains or parasite sites? I've seen a few people testing that. High PR URL shortener sites. Be interested to hear about that, Steve. I wonder, is these pages or links created, are they actually, is there much page rank there? If you can, I'd love for you to go into the forum and actually write about this, and I can come back to you in a lot more detail. It sounds intriguing though. I personally don't do it at the moment, but I'd love to hear more about it. Leah has said, it's just because I need more ranking power but cannot afford more PBNs right now. I would look at that mono-silo strategy for your money site, Leah. That could give you a boost and push you just over into page 1. No guarantees, but it could well do. Scott has added, thank you, Scott, every program sets their own cookie length. Amazon, very short, of course, at 24 hours, but others can be much longer. I mean, the beauty of that coupon code is it's pretty good. Chev has asked, have I seen the Google #1 result for London photographer? I haven't, Chev, but I will tomorrow. Do you know how he's done it? The site is, it's a Weebly page. That's an interesting one. I'll have a look at it tomorrow and I'll write up some thoughts on that, Chev. Thank you. Sounds interesting. I'm always curious about those anomaly sites that shouldn't be there, but they are, kind of thing. Okay, it looks like I've got the questions covered there. Okay. We'll just go with this final one from Expat. Can we have a WordPress best practice section in SEO traffic hacks, please? I'm having to trudge through the WordPress ecosystem after a long time avoiding CMSs. Your fault, Terry, but the hosting is great, so I'll forgive you. That's a relief. Thank you, Expat, and thanks again for that contribution on the coupon code stuff today. Excellent. Leah says, have I tried to redirect a Weebly? I have not, but I can do. We can definitely try it and encourage you to do the same as well, Leah, and report back. It's a good one to add. We do have a test suggestion area inside the training, and we can definitely look at that. Rich and I can have a look at a Weebly. Okay. If you have further questions, guys, and I didn't get to it tonight, please just email me via support@terrykyle.net. I will promise to get to it as quickly as I can, and Steve Hawkins knows that that may not be instantly. Sorry again about that, Steve, but I will get to it tomorrow. If you think of extra things, definitely you can add them below the thread for this video recording of this webinar, or just email me, as I say. Thank you guys for attending, and next week, don't forget, we've got Networks who's deep diving into his local SEO blueprint, and he really knows this stuff, and already he's written a lot of really detailed, good information on his business model for local SEO inside the forum. So looking forward to that next week at the same time, and hope to see you there. Thank you.